Hey, this is Ryan Thomas from Get Them Back, along with our mindset and emotion coach, Jen. And in this video, we're talking about what can divorced parents do if your emotions start getting the best of you. So you're going through a divorce and you can sense your child is pulling away from you. You can sense that the child is being influenced to reject you, to push you away, to be angry at you, to blame you for what's going on. And then you can tell it's turning into parental alienation, where a parent is actively trying to hurt and destroy and poison the relationship that you have with your child or your children. What do you do when you can feel, understandably, your emotions getting the best of you, right? You have all kinds of emotions of outrage, of feeling this isn't right, of sadness, of despair when you have this once amazing relationship now feel so distant and foreign. You have anger because this other parent that is supposed to love and support your child regardless of the relationship is now turning them against you and making their life horrible. You can see the pain and the anguish in your child's eyes, and you can again feel the child slipping away. It's very easy for those emotions of all kinds to just pour out. And so in this video, we want to talk about why is that so important that you understand that you can't let that happen, and really talk about the emotional component in combating not only parental alienation, but combating really the turning of your child against you.
And if you're here watching this video, it probably feels like you're in a fight right now. A fight for a relationship, a fight for your life, a fight for your right to be a parent. And perhaps you're so new to this world because it's so confusing and discombobulating that even the term parental alienation is new to you. So, Ryan, first, I love that you also just explain that for people who are maybe new to this and just trying to figure it out. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where not all divorces are amicable, and it brings you to places like this, figuring out what to do. So, we're going to help you break this down. The first thing that's going to be really important is you have to really recognize the position that your child is in, because a lot of times as a parent, your natural inclination is going to want to protect for your child and fight for your child to your very last breath. And that is an instinct, that is a natural instinct that you want to absolutely tap into. But you have to be really, really, really mindful of how you do it and of how you quote unquote fight or combat. Because odds are what you're dealing with is something incredibly toxic that either is going to be very, very obvious or it's going to be very, very sneaky. And either way, it's not good. There's going to be the other parent, the person that you're divorcing, that you moved away from, the other parent, someone else involved, that slowly along the way is planting these little seeds in your child's mind that are starting to grow. Seeds that go against who your true character is. Seeds that tell the child lies. Seeds that make the child believe those lies about you. And when you start to witness your child changing around you, acting differently around you, getting scared or intense or aggressive or quiet or defensive, naturally your own defense mechanisms are going to go up. It is a very, very natural thing for you to want to lash out to that parent. It's a very, very natural thing for you to maybe even do anything to your child, to say and express anything that you need to, because your emotions could run the gamut from a deep, raw sadness to an anger and a fury. And a lot of times, parents are going to find themselves emotionally in one or two positions, both of which make your emotions out of control. One is when you go on the complete offensive, meaning you want to attack. You've got rage, you've got the fury, you've got the fire, and you're bringing it on. So you're going to come up with the accusations. You're going to call that other parent out. Maybe you do something in court. Maybe you do something at a meetup, at an arrangement, a drop off for your child. Your child is witnessing your emotional outburst, and you're thinking, see, kid, I'm taking a stand for you. And Ryan, you know what's happening behind the scenes with the kid, right?
Yeah,
Behind the
yeah.
scenes, your child is now all of a sudden thinking, oh no, what the other parent is saying about mom or dad, that's lining up. That's making sense,
Yeah.
right? I'll
They're
let you expand on
aggressive.
that and go to the other side
Yeah,
in a
no,
second.
they're aggressive. They're angry. They don't take responsibility for themselves. They're angry so much that that's why they want to hurt us and take away our house and make the other parent have no money, and all of these things. That emotion that you just described that runs the gamut is now on full display for the child. All the other parent has to do is sit back and say, see why I have to protect you from them, which is why we shouldn't call them. You shouldn't have to respond to a text. You shouldn't have to see them for parenting time because they're angry and they're frustrated and they're dangerous, right? Or even on the other hand, and then I'm going to kick it back to you, Jen, is
Hmm.
you become so paralyzed, you don't know what to do. You think, oh my gosh, maybe I'll just say nothing. Maybe I should just step back because, I was even watching this video, to keep watching the video, and they said, don't get angry, don't say anything. It's going to make you look like you're in a rage. So I'll say nothing. I'll sit back. I'll just give the child space without saying anything. And then all of a sudden, those same emotions that come back and say, I don't know what to do. A confused mind does nothing. I'll just sit back and be quiet. The child, via the parent who's doing the alienated, who's doing the rejection, says, see, they abandoned you. They don't care. They don't want to call you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to see you during parenting time. I'm the only one that loves you. That's okay. You'd never needed them anyways. You've got me. You've got grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. You don't need any of them. But that's where understanding how your own emotions on both sides can be used against you, and also why it's so important to be aware of those emotions, because it is proving it's a trap that the other person is setting for you. You are stepping right in it, and then it creates a narrative that the child, not just hearing it, says, oh, I saw that, I felt that, I cried over that. That's real. That's why emotions are so important.
And a lot of times those emotions are always right under the surface. And I think what's interesting is the emotional process that a divorced or divorcing parent is going through in some ways when they're being alienated from their child is kind of akin to those stages of grief. It's different, but there's stages where at first when it happens, it's like this, it's like a denial. It's weird. It's confusing. You don't really understand what's happening and you don't even want to try to wrap your head around it because why would this even be happening? Like, why would someone try to put something between me and my kid so I can't have a relationship with them? Like, who would do that? Like, who would go to such lengths to do that? And then all of a sudden, as it starts happening and that starts to unravel, now you go into like emotional freak out mode because you're like, oh my God, like I've got to do something. But then it's this wellspring of emotions that can pop out, which is some of the defensive stuff I was talking about earlier, where you want to outburst, lash out, express, get it out, vent it out, verbalize and vocalize. But then when you start to see that actually has more damage, Ryan, to like what you alluded to, then you go into the next stage. And this tends to be like a later stage. And this is tricky. It's that stage of helplessness. It's that stage of then you go to like a sadness, a depression, a loss of not knowing what
Paralyzed.
to do, paralyzed, right? A lot of parents come to us and they will actually say in the words like this, I feel like I've lost my child, but it is such a different kind of grief. And I don't know what to do with it because my child is out there alive, living their life. And I am grieving something that's living, the most important person or people in my life. So you're left with all of this emotional baggage in this very foreign, unnatural experience that you're going through that's incredibly traumatic. It damages the parent child bond, it damages your psyche. It starts to set emotional patterns in place that become so automatic that you realize you could be in such a constant state of anger or a constant state of sadness that before you know it, the real danger lies is when you get to that state of feeling a helplessness, or you feel like you just have to suppress and compartmentalize the anger. Then we see that stuff manifest in ways that could be even more damaging. Ways like you have a rare opportunity to see your child in visitation, and before you know it, you're lashing out in a passive aggressive way that you don't understand. Or no matter what the other parent does, it gets so under your skin that you want to lash out to them. or you're at work and you're trying to focus on something and you can't for the life of you focus on anything because this entire world is completely consumed and taken toll, or you're looking at other relationships and you have no sense of trust because these emotions are so raw and so primal that if you can't protect your child, the least that you can do is to protect yourself. And then your health starts to show up and realize it has the effects of all those damaging emotions where there's stress, there's pain, there's inflammation, there's anxiety, there's depression. It is a domino effect that can happen, which is why it is so incredibly vital to look at building a level of emotional resilience. And we call this emotional resilience being unflappable. And that means you have to figure out how to be incredibly collected and centered with your child, with the alienator, in ways that are going to feel so incredibly unnatural, that are going to be so necessary to help you show the child who you really are. And at the same time, giving space for your emotions to breathe. I mean, my gosh, Ryan, we have so many parents coming to us being like, I don't even want to look at my emotions. I'm just putting them in a box. But then they'll come to us and they could cry at the drop of a dime or express anger at the drop of a dime. That doesn't mean you actually can't direct your emotions to the alienator or your child. But when your emotions get the best of you, it bleeds into every part of your life, and it's always under the surface like a current that you cannot turn off, whether it's 3 a.m. or you're at an important work meeting or you're just trying to do something good in your life, which is why at the same time, that emotional resilience that we need to help you work on and getting you to get more grounded has to be also balanced by giving your emotions a conduit, a place to go. Anger,
Mm.
sadness, raw primal emotions. A lot of times, even in society, it's like, where do I go with this? You're not going to complain to your friends again. You're not going to take this stuff to work. You don't want to take it to a significant other because that could affect that relationship. So you bottle it up. So you got to empty the bottle, but you have to do it behind the scenes. So front facing, you're super solid and collected. In the backside, you're like vulnerable, raw, and real, and you come out of it balanced. That's the key,
Yeah.
and it's necessary because it's not just about your child, it's about your life. Your life is at stake, your vitality is at stake, your health and longevity are at stake. When your emotions get the best of you, the stress that the emotions can take on you can literally take years away from your life. Those are years lost that you can't fight for your child. Those are years lost that you can't live your life and show up and be a parent and lead by influence and example. And that's why it is so vital that in addition to the front facing stuff, we have to go in behind the scenes on the deeper parts of your brain, fix this stuff, change your patterns, and get you in control of your emotions again so they don't control you.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you also shared not only is it important that the way that you present yourself in your emotional unflappability is really important, but we're also not just saying bury it and hide it and pretend it
Mm-mm.
doesn't exist, put the rosy colored glasses on. It's actually giving you healthy ways to deal with it. And what we've actually found is that there's a lot of parents that when they start doing that work within the Get Them Back program, in addition to all of the communication and the strategy and the approaches, they realize, wow, I've actually adopted some of these ways for a long time with other people in my life. Some of the other emotional baggage, things from younger years, from other relationships, even their own parent relationships, and they start saying, "Wow, I've had all of this emotional baggage that I've been carrying around on top of everything that I'm dealing with," and to be able to see the changes is really remarkable. But I want to bring this back and sort of round it out with one of the most real life examples of how this is why this is really important. There was a parent that we worked with, and actually there's been several like this, but one in particular that was doing all of the work both on the emotion side and on the communication side, and was able to get the child eventually to communicate, to talk, and then to actually visit in the home. And that was really great. That was a huge milestone. That was a huge breakthrough. But what would happen was the child would have the phone, and when during the parenting time they would be on with the other parent, and the argument between the parents would take place, and the child would be the conduit. Mom says this, dad says this, and the yelling and the screaming would happen. And in that emotion, again, nobody's perfect, of course, this is a highly emotional time. But when you, the parent, find yourself, how dare they interrupt my parenting time? I only get a few hours or a few days and they have all of this time, and yet this phone and this constant connection to the other parent is ruining my time, that frustration bubbles up. And all those good things that they did to get to the place where the child was communicating and engaging, talking, and eventually felt safe and comfortable enough to come, now they find themselves in a shouting match, just like old times with the other parent. This time, the child truly is in the middle, and the child is the
Mhm.
mouthpiece. And the more that you can hear the child parroting that other parent's words, the frustration and the anger bubbles up. Again, understandably. What we want to do is help you in those situations. I can give you the right words and the right phrases and the right actions to take. But if your energy and your emotions are coming out through that and you say or do one wrong thing, that is a situation where there can be a huge setback.
Mhm.
That's why it's so important that not only on the tactic and the strategy side, it's so important to be dialed in on the emotional side, is because an instance or an experience like that for the child can be so traumatic and create a setback. It's not impossible to come back from, but you've also played right into that other parent's hands because it's shown, see, you're not this good person. You are all of the things that they've been using against you. So when you have, if you can think of situations in your own in your own case where I get angry, I get frustrated, I get sad, I get depressed, recognize that how you show up and how you do things in addition to what you say and how you say it is so very important and so very entwined. And that's why we love the work that we're able to do within Get Them Back, because we're helping not only the individual communicate with their child again, but also to truly help them through all of those emotions to become the best version of themselves, to help them, as I always say, sometimes this is Olympic level parenting. This is not easy stuff to be
Right.
unflappable. But for you to be able to have the tools to keep your composure and look at you holistically and say, you're not just a robot, say this, do this if you want your kid back. No, it's here are the things that can help you communicate, but then here are the things that can help you as a person, as an individual that is being wrong, that is going through hell. Here's how we can support you and lift you up as a person that's going through this as an individual.
It's all pattern interrupting. Everything that we need to do is interrupting patterns, and what is happening is twofold. Your child has patterns that they're hearing, which means they're thinking a particular way and feeling a particular way just because they've been taught and conditioned that way by an alienator. And in turn, as you are training yourself unintentionally to think a certain way, feel a certain way, react a certain way, believe a certain way, doubt a certain way, fear a certain way, get angry a certain way, get sad a certain way. Those are also patterns. So this is all about having to deconstruct all of the patterns that are creating any pitfall, any obstacle between you and your child, and then replacing those with new patterns. And that's a process. But the good news is that your brain is very moldable. Like, it can actually be
Yeah.
influenced with consistency in a matter of days to weeks. You can change the way you think and feel. And just like that parent you gave as an example, we've seen a lot of amazing transformations where parents are like, God, I'm calm again. I haven't been this calm in
Yeah.
years. I don't even have anxiety anymore. I feel like I
Yeah.
can show up and I'm just solid. So that's a huge part of the goal, because boy, that impacts everything. That impacts everything for the rest of your life as a parent, and all the domino effect stuff that I had talked about earlier. So it's all about making sure that
Absolutely.
you have your emotions, not your emotions have you.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Again, go ahead, check the links below this video to get more information, more free resources, more
Yes.
training that we offer. Also, if you want to work with us, there's an application process where you can share your story. We can review your situation, and then we can provide our feedback, let you know, here's what we see. Here's what we believe that if we can help you or not. So go ahead, check out those links below. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.